This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. I love Richard Feynman. One of the great physicists ever. Involved in the Manhattan Project, but an absolute brilliance at taking the complicated and reducing to simple. Don't mistake simple for lack of sophistication. Feynman was so good at explaining the scientific method. And I want to quote from him a passage that I put in my newest edition of Trend Following. This is fabulous insight into the scientific method. In general, we look for a new law by the following process. First, we guess it. And the audience laughs. No, don't laugh. That's really true. Then we compute the consequences of the guess to see what if this is right, if this law we guess is right, to see what it would imply. And then we compare the computation results to nature, or we say compare to experiment or experience, compare it directly with observations to see if it works. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make any difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't matter how smart you are, who made the guess, or what the name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. He also added, it's much more likely that the reports on flying saucers are the result of the known irrational characteristics of terrestrial intelligence rather than the unknown rational efforts of extraterrestrial intelligence. It's just more likely, that's all. And it's a good guess. We always try to guess the most likely explanation, keeping in the back of our mind that if it doesn't work out, then we must discuss the other possibilities. For 20 years now, I have watched that brilliance play out in the discussion of trend following. That brilliance from Richard Feynman, so simple. Observe, here's something taking place, compare it, contrast it, draw conclusions. That's how it works. But there's a problem with the scientific method. Cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias. Let me use a political example. You can see the cognitive biases, you can see the confirmation bias, especially across political examples. Think of a topic. It doesn't really make a difference what the topic is. Let's just call it topic A. Someone establishes topic A. There are critics that don't like topic A. How does a critic deal with topic A if that critic knows that topic A is true? It's very similar to a magician's sleight of hand. You have one person putting topic A out. Everyone, except for the really brain-dead people, everyone realizes that topic A is true. But critics, they don't want to lose power, they have to save face, etc., save their job, whatever. So the critic doesn't like topic A. So the magician's sleight of hand is quite simple. Don't talk about topic A, change the subject to topic B, and win the argument in topic B. This is par for the course, done every damn day, all the time. Let me give another topical example that is, some people might say, sad. Tiger Woods, arguably the best golfer ever. And for nearly 10 years, he's been in a downward spiral. Unfortunately, he's had a huge run of injuries. He's had 4 back surgeries, knee surgeries. I mean, the guy has had a rough time with injuries. When they start fusing your spine, you could use every excuse in the world, but you don't have to. Spine injuries, man, if he never golfed again, I get it. Nobody can criticize an injury like that. But what you can criticize with Tiger Woods, and again, I'm looking at this from the scientific method. Tiger Woods went out and got a DUI recently, driving under the influence, whatever that influence might be, alcohol, drugs, whatever. And very quickly across the internet, as everyone knows how this goes, his mugshot was everywhere. And he looks like shit. He looks terrible. Not the way you want to be seen as a billionaire golfer. Many people I know immediately retorted, "That's sad. Look how sad that is." He was at the top, the absolute top. Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, Tiger Woods. Never to be spoken in the same breath again. Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, they'll still be spoken in the same breath. Tiger Woods will not be. Not because of the lack of his achievement, but because what he has done, his decisions. Again, somebody might say, well, Mike, that's really sad. Let's look at this from an observation standpoint. You're a billionaire. You go out partying, or you're taking some form of drug, or you're drinking, whatever. And this is what Tiger Woods was just arrested for. You decide at 3 a.m. on the day of one of America's biggest holidays that you're going to drive home, 3 a.m. Now just stop for a second. Everyone has a son or a daughter, a niece or a nephew, an older parent, a brother, a sister. They're out at night. Maybe they just got home from the airport and they're driving home. It's late. And they get killed by Tiger Woods, driving like a fucking asshole at 3 a.m. in the morning. He didn't kill anybody, so many people will just say, well, that's just sad. But think about the consequences. Think about the probabilities, because if you take that type of behavior and you extrapolate it out over society, many innocent people are going to get killed. I have no sympathy for Tiger Woods. Zero, none, zilch. He could have killed somebody. So how do you look at the world? Do you look at the world through the lens of, I feel bad for Tiger Woods? Or are you blocking something in your own thinking? Blocking something where you're forgetting that he could have killed somebody? Let me add a disclaimer here. I'm absolutely positive that at some point in my life, especially in my teen years, I drove a car while drinking. I don't know if I was ever drunk as a skunk, so to speak. I don't think so, but I'm sure I did. I'm sure everyone listening probably has, to some degree or another, done something like this. Maybe not to the extent that Tiger Woods did, because let's face it, that mugshot that's floating on the internet is pretty damn rough looking. But many of us are guilty of some type of behavior like this. Now, what's the difference? I did this when I was 17 or 18. It's not an excuse, but it's the reality. It's a long time ago. Tiger Woods is a 40-something billionaire. He could hire Uber. I mean, that's the cheapest way. He could have a driver for $50. The amount of money that it would take to get him home safely is what? Nothing. And here's where the action of Tiger Woods extrapolates to a wider lesson. It's the arrogance. He has all the money you can imagine, but he refuses to get a car. Refuses to get a car because he's bigger than the system. The system can't bring him down. The system can't control him. He doesn't have to fit in like normal people. Extrapolate this out to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is on this massive run. Fantastic from a trend following perspective. Straight up. What's gone up 50% in 2 weeks? By the time this podcast airs, it could go up 100% or it could go down 100%. The interesting thing with Bitcoin is not the up and down nature of it. That's expected. If you have human beings in a bidding war, human beings that have different motivations and desires, hopes, expectations about where some asset could go, and they have the ability to bet their money on it, who knows what's going to happen? You can't predict what's going to happen. And there's where the arrogance connection starts to come in again, because you can go read right now a zillion reasons, arguments, persuasions as to why Bitcoin is going to whatever level or going down to whatever level. It's arrogant as hell because none of these people know. They're just making it up. They think they're bigger than reality. None of us have the ability to know exactly where any of these markets are going. But I see this thread in modern society right now. This thread of arrogance, this thread of cognitive dissonance. The idea that if you're having a discussion, and let me give an example of another discussion that I had recently. It was a real estate transaction. I'm the seller. Someone else is the buyer. And I was having a conversation with a third party about the transaction. And the third party was making the case that the potential buyer could not adjust on their price. Now, this was a transaction that was not in the tens of thousands of dollars, so $10,000 in either direction didn't make a hill of beans difference. But this person that was arguing with me was saying, well, but $10,000, that's a lot of money. Now, look, I was not going to not make a deal over $10,000. That's not the point. But the conversation got into one of money. And this person that was arguing with me kept saying, well, but $10,000 is a lot of money to me. I can buy something for my kitchen. And then he changed the subject to his bike. Now, we were talking about houses being sold in the range of $500,000 to $1 million. And the topic of $10,000 came up. He took the discrepancies and changed the subject to something else that he could understand or that he could relate to, like the cost of a bike, just like a bike you buy at the bike store that you pedal. I mean, some of these bikes are expensive, or appliances one could buy in their house. That is another fabulous example of cognitive dissonance. When someone is in the middle of a discussion on something that can quickly become emotional, like investing, money, sports figures like Tiger Woods, people have this desire, this ingrained desire to protect themselves. They don't want to lose. They have to save face. And that's usually done via an analogy. And this gets right back to the beginning of this conversation where I was talking about topic A and then changing it to topic B. If you're losing the discussion on topic A, do you reach in and so cleverly change the subject to topic B and defeat some argument about topic B that no one was even talking about and then declare victory? This is literally what's going on in society day after day after day. I don't know if it's being compounded because of social media, but watch the way people argue. Watch the way people think. Now, you might be sitting back and you might be thinking, Mike, what is the point of all of this? Just give me a trend-following formula and I will be super successful. Well, if you're going to be a trend-following trader, you absolutely need a set of rules that allow you to pick an ongoing portfolio. You absolutely need a set of rules that allow you to know when you will enter. And you need a set of rules that allow you to size your position. You also need rules that allow you to know when to get out with a profit and rules that allow you to get out with a loss. Now that you have those rules, what are you left with? You're left with you. You looking in the mirror. You rationalizing, justifying, developing what untold number of assorted biases, assorted confirmation biases to justify why the rules might not work, why you might not follow them, or just change the subject to something else. In my mind, once you think like this, you start to look at the world in a way where it all looks similar. I mean, if you think about my podcast, there's a through line. I have a hard time seeing guests on my show where I don't see a through line. I see connective tissue. Yes, many of my guests come from very, very different backgrounds, wide variety of skill sets. But you can see process versus outcome. You can see the desire to knock away cognitive dissonance. You can see the desire to knock away confirmation bias. You can see the desire to not be arrogant like Tiger Woods. I guarantee you this too. Plenty of people will listen to what I talk about today. They won't see the point. They'll walk away with one takeaway. Mike Covel, not a billionaire, not a professional golfer, criticized Tiger Woods. Really, that's what they'll do. They'll walk away with that. That's what they will remember. They won't take anything else away because critical thinking has been lobotomized from the masses. Thinking is not cool. Following other people without thinking is cool. Worshipping your neighbor is cool. Standing outside the crowd, not cool. In the middle of the crowd, holding hands, making sure everyone feels comfortable and touched and loved and all this other nonsense, oh, that's cool. Making sure you don't upset anyone, that's cool. That's what's sad. It's sad that as a society in 2017, thinking has been pushed away. Thinking is not celebrated. Once you wrap your arms around how Richard Feynman laid out thinking, laid out observation, comparing, contrasting, once you accept that as reality, you are light years ahead of the masses. The masses can't go to where Richard Feynman looked at the world. They're never going to go find a YouTube video and watch a famous dead physicist. They're not going to do it. It feels better to be doing anything else. But if you want to get ahead, if you want to see the right way to look at the world, we can all be so damn lucky that we had a guy like Feynman to show us the way. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.